the pep talk for the MYAP 100 and their entrepreneurial referrals is going to start in 5 minutes. So as you come into the class, please acknowledge that you have entered the classroom. Look forward to talking to you. Looks like Tamara and Monica both come into the room. So if both of you could go in the chat box and type in there that you can hear me, that would be great. Well, I'm actually getting ready to start the pep talk, and I see I have in the room Tamara and her guest Monica and Chris Creeth. I see you. I have some other people joining in. Erica is coming to the room. I'm going to ask you, because you won't be able to actually speak, I need you to go into the chat. If you look on the right side of your screen, at the bottom there's a box, and on the bottom there you can type in. So I need you to each type in, "I can hear you," and that way I know that you're actually able to hear me on your computer. So I'm waiting on, I have about 10 people registered and half of you all are in, so I'm waiting on the rest of us. But I usually only give maybe about 5 minutes, then I'm going to go ahead and start with the pep talk. But again, I need you all to type in if you can hear me. You can either just type yes or "I can hear you." Chris Creeth, can you hear me? Wonderful. Erica can hear me. So I know if Erica can hear me, everyone else can hear me too. Erica, give me which Erica you are. We have a couple, but I think this is the Erica that's gotten married, so I don't know your new last name. Tamara can't hear me. Okay, but I'm going to give Tamara the call-in number, because you can also call in if you are not at a computer or something's going on with your computer. So let me give you the call-in number, Tamara. Anyone else that wants to call in, I have this number because a few people actually are in motion, either going to work or something, and so they needed to call in, or they have to leave out, so they're going to need to call in. So either way, I do have some slides I'm going to be showing on the screen, so hopefully you're able to see the slides. I see Tamara and Monica can't hear me. Um, uh, I see William. Looks like Williams has a question. I don't know if William came back into the room. William, are you able to type in the box for me? Your chat? But William wants to come in as a speaker, and maybe he knows how to do that. So William, I'm gonna let you on in. Are you able to talk, William, now? Let me know if you can speak. In order to come in as a speaker, you actually have to have Google Hangouts. So I haven't set that up for any of you all yet, because it requires you to do an extra step. But if you have it, like William appears to maybe have it, you might be able to speak. Otherwise, I need everybody to use the chat box. Oh, Erica Humphrey, how you doing? That's who I thought it was. And your candle business is something we definitely want to feature. So I have the call-in number. So far, I don't think anyone's called in. So I'm trying to make sure everybody can hear me. Erica seems to be the only one who has told me on the chat that she can hear me. So Monica and Tamara, I guess you may still be having issues. We need to check on that. And I need to see if Chris Creeth, can you hear me? Arthur Porter, can you hear me? And then, of course, William, can you hear me? Who's that on call? Hello? Oh, hey, Chris. Oh, so you called on in? All right. Are you still able to see the screen, or? Oh, you might have gone into the, did you go into the current Did you go into the current invitation? Right. Okay. But you just can't see my screen. Arthur. I see Arthur's in. Let me see if he can help me here because I don't know what happened there. Arthur. I'll wait for him to come in. Okay, so Chris, you're on the phone. I don't know if Tamara and Monica, did you all call in? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Tamara. Good. Okay. So Erica, for some reason, is the only one seeing things. And I have to admit, technology is not always my friend. So I've got Arthur Porter, who usually runs these meetings for me, to see if he can address this. And Arthur can see me. Erica, you can still see me, but the rest of you all will just be on the phone, which is fine. I have the slides, but I really just have them to guide my own talking, my own conversation. So it's not necessary that you actually see the slides as long as you can hear me. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And I know, Tamara, you've heard this before, that you participated before. And I think, Erica, you were on an earlier call. But obviously, if you're on this call, you either are part of the MYEP 100, and I want to make sure you know what that is, or you are a person who is being referred or recommended for MYEP 100, which today we have Monica with us, and I appreciate, Monica, you listening in so you can see what this is all about. But I started doing this about 2 weeks ago to start recruiting alumni of the Minority Youth Entrepreneurship Program to a class that we've created that is called Pep Talk. And it is actually for the purpose of re-engaging the students who were part of that program when they were in high school as now adults, and being able to coach you through a 10-year entrepreneurship plan and help guide you in any way that I can. And the MYEP 100 essentially will be inducted in August of next year, August of 2017, at our annual, which will now be our annual, but it's our first induction program for the program. But it also is our 30th anniversary of the founding of the Minority Youth Entrepreneurship Program. So those of you who are alum of the program have been nominated by me to be in the first class. And usually it's because I've seen you. Obviously, many of you all I have remained friends with over the years. And I know that many of you all are either already in business or you are aspiring to be in business. And then also many of you all have done very well in your careers. And certainly you have a story to tell. So the MYEP 100 is the first 100 out of our 1,000 plus alumni who have been selected to be profiled and recognized at the anniversary. But our MYEP referrals or entrepreneurial friends are individuals, Monica, who were not in the program. Again, this was a program when these students were 16 and 17 years old, but who possessed the same qualities and the same aspirations as those who were in the program. And we're trying to recruit and find others who we would also want to induct into MYEP 100 as they kind of chronologue their journey with me, and in particular also accept my assistance in coaching this upcoming year. So Pep Talk is how I coach the MYEP 100. And this is just an orientation. So you only do this once. You hear the orientation and get an idea of what it is. But then if you are interested or willing to commit, you actually register online for the Pep Talk curriculum, which is how I coach you one-on-one. Obviously, with 100 plus young people, the group coaching would not get you where you're trying to go. It's going to have some benefit, and we'll have some opportunities where you can listen in or watch webinars that will have speakers or will have presentations. But for the most part, the biggest benefit that I hope you'll be able to get out of this is one-on-one coaching from me that allows me to help you in whatever you're trying to do based on you sharing with me what it is you're trying to do. And the way you share that is through the online course. The online course has 4 worksheets. So your personal entrepreneurial plan, which is what PEP means, consists of 4 worksheets that you essentially modify every month with my input and just essentially lead yourself through this entire year. And then it's something that you would continue to maintain as long as you are involved in the program. So I'm going to give you a little orientation about what the personal entrepreneurial plan is and what Pep Talk is and why this is something that I created essentially 5 years ago, 6 years ago in 2010 as something I personally used to begin to put more of a framework around what I was doing entrepreneurially. And I now want to have the MYEP 100 use it and have it as a way to not only help you, but also as a way for you to help each other. So before I go into the actual PowerPoint, those of you who are on the phone or those who are still viewing, I think I have a couple people that are still on the screen. Any questions of what MYEP 100 is? If you have no questions, just say no question.
No questions,
man. All right. Who was that, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know you and I have talked about this before, Chris. I probably didn't have a name to it, but I hope that that you understand. And Erica has no questions. And so I assume Tamara and Monica.
Good morning, Ms. Marcus. William Tark from Econ Equipment Constructors.
Oh, hi, William. Oh, wonderful. I didn't know that you were one of the referrals. Thank you so much for acknowledging that so I knew who you were. Glad you're here. So again, we have 2 referrals, William and Monica, it appears. So William, did you have a question?
No, ma'am.
Wonderful. Glad to have you. And again, part of what I'm going to show you all is what the Pep Talk is and how I use it to coach young people through their entrepreneurial journey. Let me start with what the Pep Talk is not. The Pep Talk is not, or the PEP itself, is not a business plan. Those of you who are actually in business or who are planning to go into business will want to have a business plan. I see Mahogany has also joined me. Wonderful, Mahogany. Glad to have you. But a business plan is something that obviously you want to have and maintain, and there are resources for that. And as I'm coaching you all one-on-one, those of you who need to do a business plan or have one and want me to look at it, I'm glad to do so. But the personal entrepreneurial plan is not that. It's exactly what I've called it, a personal plan. And the difference is that a business plan gives a roadmap to a particular business. So obviously, if you have multiple businesses, you typically end up having multiple plans because the business plan is specific to a particular business. The personal entrepreneurial plan is specific to you and who you are as a person, where you're trying to go, who you know, what you know, and how you can use all of that combined to start multiple businesses. So the goal of the MYEP 100, and many of you all have done this already, is to have multiple businesses over time. The goal of MYEP 100 is to have this personal entrepreneurial plan, which is a written document that has 10-year milestones on it. So you actually look at essentially projecting out over the next 10 years where you want to be personally. So I'll give you an example. A person, I'll use you, Erica, who started a business a while back. So you already have a business and you have history with that business. You have a plan for that business. Alongside of that would be your personal plan of what you're trying to do personally. Are you trying to do only that business, or do you aspire to use that business to roll into another business? Do you plan to invest the income, etc.? The same thing for individuals who are currently employed in a career. Your career is really a business, and I teach my clients to view their jobs as just one of their clients. So those of you who are successfully employed and wonderfully loving your job, that's a client. And essentially your personal entrepreneurial plan is, how do you, first of all, maximize the money that you get from your client, from your job, or from your career. And then again, what do you do with that? So I'm going to go into my slides for, again, those who can see it, but it's really just so I can stay on point. And so the pep talk, as I said, is really to kind of address a problem. I've had, like I said, in this program, 1,000 alumni or more. And many of them over the years share with me what their experience is as they now began to go from being 16 or 17 to real life. Obviously, you all have gone through your own entrepreneurial journeys, and even individuals who have started their careers. It's a journey. And the pep talk is really to try to address a problem that's consistently brought to me by my alumni. And it's consistent around the world. It's not unique to NYP, but it's something that people find themselves experiencing more and more today than even when we started this program back in 1987. And one of the quotes I get sometimes from alumni is that they're concerned about the fact that obviously there's no longer anyone taking care of them. Now, obviously that's our young alum who, when they finish the entrepreneurship program or even go through college or go through whatever they're doing post high school, it becomes very clear to them that they're on their own. So obviously some are fearful of that. Some jump right on it and take advantage of the opportunities that are before them. But it's a natural milestone that people find out all of a sudden that there's nobody else that's going to take care of them. The other is that, I've had alum who tell me that they don't like living in fear of being laid off or let go. They don't like that feeling. And again, we're living in a different time than even we were back in 1987. So in some cases, people who are very satisfied in their careers just have a fear, whether it's a fear that's immediate or a fear that's 10 or 20 years from now, that something might happen and they might lose that. The other problem that alumni have brought to me is that they love their job, they love what they do, they don't think there's any possibility of it being changed over the next 10 years, but they want to make sure that they can sustain their lifestyle if it did change. Because obviously, as you begin to live and grow, you're going to build a certain lifestyle. And everybody wants to be sure that they don't have to go backwards. It's just a natural problem that all young people have, and even 56-year-olds like myself. And then, obviously, alum have acknowledged to me that things are changing. Obviously, we've had a tumultuous year just in general in our lives, just based on things that have been happening politically, things that have been happening in society, and the things that are even happening economically. So things are changing, and alum have sometimes said, I don't know where I'm going to end up. I feel like I'm no longer in control. I had a much more comfortable feeling than I have now, which many view as a problem. So the solution is to have a personal plan. This pep talk is to answer all of those questions. And I can tell you, because I did it for myself and I've done it for others, that when you have a personal entrepreneurial plan and you live that plan, then although these things will not change, things can still happen and they will happen, you won't fall as hard. And in some instances, you won't fall at all. And that's the whole objective of having a personal entrepreneurial plan, is to have a plan B, C, D, and E. And some of you all have it, but you have it in your head. And I also find that it's very beneficial to have it down on paper. And it's extremely beneficial to have a coach, which is what I'm offering you, who also has your plan and keeps you on track and helps to be sure that if things do change, they can think with you about what to do to address that change. So do you all kind of understand where this plan is going so far? Those of you who can say something to me.
Yes, it is very clear, and I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to get started. This is Chris Street speaking.
Wonderful. And Chris, I know you are an example of a person who has had multiple businesses, will have multiple businesses, and I just know that you and I've talked about how important it is to have somebody on the sidelines, if nothing else, but to root you on. So I appreciate your comment. But this personal plan is so that you can handle whatever the situation is. And it doesn't matter what your current situation is. All of you, I want you to diversify your sources of income. Now, again, some of you have already done it. And the other value of being an NYP 100 is that those of you who have done it are going to share with the rest of us so that we can benefit from your lessons learned. And we can also benefit from your successes. If you have done some things that you're willing to share with others and tell that story, that is going to enhance this whole experience for all of us. But at the end of the day, we want to diversify your income. We also want to make sure that you are in a position to take advantage of an opportunity when it comes your way. Again, I've had a lot of alum over the years. They'll tell me, I'll see an opportunity. I'll find out that there's a business for sale, or I'll find out that a friend of mine wants to start a business and needs investors, or I'll find out that I have an opportunity to do some kind of breakout business myself, but financially I wasn't ready. So again, the PEP is to make sure that you can get yourself ready for whatever you would like to do, and that you give yourself time to do so. There's a term that we've used as consultants called the reluctant entrepreneur. The reluctant entrepreneur is the one that didn't plan to be one, but a situation happened and they had no choice. There is no other alternative. If you are not in a position where people, or you're employed, then you have to make your own way. So some people fall into entrepreneurship and then they have to learn as they go, and that's fine, but it's a little rougher that way. It's better if you view yourself from the beginning as an entrepreneurial person and you have a plan for being a business owner, whether it's next year or whether it's 10 years from now or 20 years from now. You just naturally build it into your plan, just like you would plan for retirement. You just plan for entrepreneurship. Those who do that don't waste as much time or money. The other thing is to recognize that, as I mentioned, your job is your first revenue stream. So if you are currently working somewhere, I want you to view it a little differently than maybe reviewing it before this. I want you to view it as a revenue stream. It's essentially the way that you get some money to do the things you're trying to do. I have an alum who called me who was concerned that the business that she started currently isn't paying the bills. So she is really struggling financially. And she said that she was not one to let the business go, but she really needed to make financial means for her and her family. And she was asking me, what should she do? Well, I said, I think you should go get a job. Now, that does not mean stop doing the business. But what it meant was you've got to be sure that your basic needs are taken care of, or you cannot concentrate. And there are all kinds of ways to do that, whether it's one job, 2 or 3 jobs. You'd be surprised to know, young people, that at one point with an MBA from Washington University, I took a job at Pizza Hut. Now, I was a manager, but my point is I did decide that I needed to bring a base amount of income into the household at a time when I had 2 young children and I was trying to get my consulting firm off the ground. So I am never too big to do the things that will make sure that my family is taken care of. So your job is part of the equation. I read books by Robert Kiyosaki, and one of the other things that I'll be doing as I coach you all is sharing the books I've read. And I'm going to ask you to share any books that you've read so that we can share them with everybody else. But Robert Kiyosaki is an entrepreneurial author who has several books. The first one that some people know is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And those of you who are in the later years of NYEP, we actually use this book as part of our training. But he basically rearranges our way of thinking about careers and money and businesses. But he also wrote a book that talks about and gave kind of a prediction. And this was actually in 2003 that he said this, young people. He said by 2012, things are going to change financially very dramatically. And he said it's going to be different. A few years from now, there's going to be a battle between those who think that other people should take care of them and those who think people should take care of themselves. Now, I find that fascinating in today's political climate. But he said that back in 2003. He was referring to 2012. So here we are now in 2016. I think most of you all will probably agree that he was right. So when I read books a lot of times, I try to look to see the hints that tells me that my next 10 years is not going to be the same as the 10 years I just had, because it's just a fact. There's another book that I want to share with you all. If you haven't read it, it's Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And this was a book that I had to read in the MBA program back in 1983. So we were using this book way back then as part of management and leadership training to help young people understand that change happens and it's going to keep happening. And this book kind of uses mouse and kind of the whole story of the fact that, you know, mouse will find some cheese someplace, and anytime they find cheese in that one place, they're going to keep coming to that place because they know that there's some cheese there. So they're going to just keep coming, getting the cheese. But this mouse goes through in this book the experience of the cheese getting moved. And what the book says is to anticipate change, meaning get ready for the cheese to move. So don't assume it's not going to move. Anticipate that it's going to move. If it doesn't move, then great, you're still getting your cheese. But anticipate that it's going to move. You just don't know when. The other thing that it talks about is monitor change. And what the book says is smell the cheese often so you know when it's getting old. I have an alum that talked about the fact that they worked for a company, very successful, kind of high up in the company, and the company was acquired. And they began to feel that things were different. They felt that it was a possibility that the acquisition was going to result in some downsizing. And he actually said, I could almost feel, you know, somebody right over on my shoulder saying, you need to get out of here. And, you know, he still wasn't sure. I mean, he was smelling the cheese, but he really didn't know yet that it was getting old. And then 2 months later, he sends me a text and tells me that he got downsized. And no problem. But again, you have to pay attention to very subtle things. The other thing that the book talks about is adapting to change quickly. So what it says is the quicker you let go of the old cheese, the sooner you can enjoy new cheese. Again, those of you now who've lived a while know that change happens, things happen, some things are painful, some things are very rewarding. But the best thing we can do is to let go of the old cheese and just start enjoying the new cheese. If you find yourself in a situation, as I have over the years, where you had to change direction, even within my business, I've had a consulting firm for 30 years now, and it has gone through all kinds of changes. But I enjoy the next stage. I don't hold on to old clients. I don't hold on to old products. If I have a product or a service that I'm trying to sell and it's not selling, I drop it. Move on. I have to move on. That's the only way to be sure that things will stay the same or move or not stay the same. And then the book ends kind of by saying, move the cheese. In other words, you be the one to do the moving. Instead of going to the corner and finding out the cheese is moved, why don't you move it yourself? And then savor the adventure and always be ready for it to move because it's going to keep moving. So that book is an interesting one. But then I go back to my same favorite author, Robert Kiyosaki, who then wrote a book called Who Moved My Money? So what he recognized was that just like that book, that is also the case that if you don't move your money from one place to another place, you could lose it. And he writes in this book, Who Moved My Money, the fact that what you do for your paycheck is your job or your profession, right? I have doctors, I have lawyers, I have entrepreneurs, I have engineers, I have teachers, I have social workers, I have moms, dads. I mean, it's all of you all are in all kinds of areas. What you do for your paycheck is your job. What you do with your paycheck is your business. So all of you should already be in business. And I actually mean going and getting a federal ID number and setting yourself up as a business if you haven't already done that. And that at least puts you on the radar as a business. And then as I coach you, I'm coaching you on how to move the money that you make in your profession or the money you're already making in a business into something else so that it keeps moving. And he talks about the cash flow from your job can help you buy or build assets that can generate additional cash flow for you. So that's another good book, Who Moved My Money? And so the pep talk is for people who are working and who are happy, but they want to get more money. It's for hybrid entrepreneurs. A lot of you all are hybrids. Erica, you're a hybrid. Tamara, I'd call you a hybrid entrepreneur. And Chris, you're a hybrid. A lot of times a hybrid entrepreneur is someone who may work, they have a profession, they're able to earn money with their profession, but they look at ways to build passive income as they continue to work the profession, which is really the best of both worlds. You know, now I just jumped all the way out back in 1985. I left my job and went 100% owning my own business. But again, over the years, I kind of hybrid a little bit. Today, most of you all know that I'm a senior vice president of Clayco Construction, which is a $2 billion nationwide design build firm. And I joined Clayco a year and a half ago as an executive to head up a new effort at Clayco. I'm good friends with the CEO, and he approached me with an opportunity to join the company as an executive and do this. And in doing this, I went from being 100% entrepreneur to a hybrid, because I do now actually work every day with Clayco, but I also continue to have my business. And they actually help my business. They do business with me, with my company. But what I do for them on a day-to-day basis is a little different. I'm actually heading up their talent development side. But it allows me to have an income that is very nice, that will fund and feed a few other businesses that I've had on my plate. So I'm a hybrid myself. Then there's aspiring entrepreneurs, people who want to explore entrepreneurship, but they don't yet have an immediate need. And I don't know, Monica and William, where you all are, even the NYP alum, but some people are basically saying, I just want to start exploring. I don't have to do anything this year. I don't need to do anything for 5 years. The longer you have to explore, the better, because you can actually be sure that you've explored all the possibilities. I've had cases of people who go out down one direction. They have an alum that cashed in his 401k and invested in one particular direction. And he and I reunited, and he talked about what he was doing, but I gave him about 4 other things that he could also do because of his education and his experience and his exposure. And then he told me, he said, I wish I had known that before I put all of my 401k into this one. I probably would have split it out. Maybe put one a little bit here, a little bit there. Again, never too late. But the more time you give yourself to explore all the ways you could go into business, the better it is for you, because you really don't then move too fast. But how fast you move depends on what you're trying to do and what you need to do for your own existence. And then again, the last group I hope to coach are existing entrepreneurs who just want to take the money they're making on their existing business and do another one. What Robert Kiyosaki describes is that there's a difference in being self-employed and being a business. And I mentioned I started my company in 1987. Well, I was self-employed. Self-employed meaning that the income I needed to generate was just enough to take care of what I need to bring to the household. My husband was gainfully employed and an executive traveling all over the world, and I just wanted to stay home with the kids. So I had my own little income plan, and it was just for me. As long as I could still do the things I wanted to do, as long as I could go to the beauty shop every Friday, as long as I could drive the same car I was driving when I worked for corporate America, that's all I needed the business to do. And I kind of was that way all the way up until, to be honest, 2012. Which is interesting that quote I gave you was 2012 too. But in 2012, I actually would say I became a business. So I went a long time just being self-employed, and that was fine. But I became a business in 2012, and I took on a contract, a very large contract that we still have with BJC, that required me to hire employees. Now, I had always worked with my brother and sister, but they were contract workers, so all of us were self-employed. That's basically what we were. When I decided to take on something where I had to take on employees, and in particular even take on a few who weren't relatives, then I had to think bigger than how much does Sandra need, because now I have 5, it actually grew to 8. I have 8 families depending on my vision. So you have to act differently when you're a business versus a self-employed individual. But what ultimately we want for NYP 100 is to have multiple businesses. So that does not mean you start a bunch of businesses. There are different ways, again, that we'll explore individually. But obviously you can start a business. You can partner with somebody that already has a business and you just want to help them. So you become a partner, which is a great thing because then a lot of times they've already done a lot of work for you. You don't have to do everything yourself. They start from scratch. And you can also buy existing businesses. And in particular, if you learn how to analyze businesses, you can buy businesses that are already profitable when you bought it. But now you're buying it to take it to a higher level. And all three of those are the three that we want to explore, regardless of what you're doing right now. I want you to take time to explore all three of them as you progress for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years through your own careers. So, franchises is just another way of saying partnering. Because when you buy a franchise, you actually buy a model that's already been proven. And you essentially are partnering with that franchise because you bring your expertise to an existing business. So all of those we want to explore. We have about 6 minutes left on the call. So at this point, I want to see if anybody has questions. And if you don't, I'm going to explain to you what's next. Anyone have a question? If you don't, I just need each one of you to come on and say, no question.
No questions. No questions. No questions.
I guess I'm just that good.
No questions. No questions.
Thank you. I hope that means you're sold and you just need me to hurry up. But in any case, again, you've been nominated by me or a peer to be part of NYP 100. As part of NYP 100, I become your coach. And you essentially register for me to coach you online. Coaching online is the way that allows us to do it, where I can coach people all over the country. We have NYP 100s who live all over the United States, but I can coach all of them online. It also allows you to move at your own pace. It's not a class that you actually have to take where you have to take the class by a certain day or anything like that. You fill out your worksheets. You send the worksheets to me. Based on what you say in the worksheet, I send it back. Then you send it back, and then I send it back. It's like we're just working from a document that allows me to give you advice based on whatever I can do to help you. Now, there are 3 areas that I can help you with. I mentioned that there are 3 pieces of what I look at in entrepreneurship. One is, the first is your education. So everybody, based on your education, formal and informal, you've been certain places. You've gone through either a formal educational program, or you're actually started doing some things and taught you some things. So the first worksheet really looks at you educating me on who you are. And everybody has a professional side and a personal side. So as your coach, I have to know both of those. Because there are businesses that you can do that you are professionally positioned to do. And then there are businesses that you can do that you are personally positioned to do. And I want to make sure you have both of them. Because sometimes people think they only have one way to go, and then they miss an opportunity somewhere else. The next level is your experience. Everybody, as a result of whatever path you've taken, has experience doing something. And again, you have personal experience and you have professional experience. Your coaching worksheets will let me know that. And these sheets are very easy to fill out. It's like you just, and I want you to fill them out. If you're a writer, fill them out by hand and scan them back to me. If you're a real technical person, you can put the sheets in Excel. They're already in Excel. You can put them there and you can do your own, setup of how you do it. It's how you think. I don't want to make it too structured where people have to do it a certain way, but you do use your sheets to talk back to me. So based on your experience, there's certain people that you know, and there's certain people that know you, and I need to know who you already know. And then based on who I know, there are certain people that I know that I need you to know, and I want to introduce you to them. So that's that worksheet. And then the third worksheet is your financial plan, which essentially is not necessarily you telling me your financial business, because I don't need to know that to coach you, believe it or not. What I do need to know is what financial quarter you're in. And our quarters are in 4 pieces based on your age. So based on your age, you'll tell me what financial quarter you're in. That's all I need to know. And then I can coach you from there on those financial quarters. And then the last worksheet is the action plan. We'll do a 90-day action plan. And then every 30 days, you'll get a reminder from me to go into your action plan and tell me what to take off of the plan and what to put on. Because we know the cheese is going to move. So although we're going to write a 90-day action plan for what you want to get accomplished, we know the cheese might move and something might change. Now, again, I've had alumni ask me, or NYP 100, well, Ms. Marks, how much time should I expect to spend doing this? I'm really busy. I got a lot on my plate. I have kids. I have husband. I have wife. I'm coaching football. I think you all are very busy. And all I will say back to you is that depends on how fast you're trying to get where you're trying to go. If you're trying to do a running game, as I call it in football, that you have plenty of time, then you tell me, Ms. Marks, I want to pace slow. You don't have to rush me. I want to pace slow. I got time. Even though I do a 90-day plan, if I don't achieve those things in 90 days, it's okay. We'll just move them to the next 90. That's totally up to you. Or you can say, I need to do a passing game, right? Those of you who love football like me know that a passing game is because you don't have a lot of time to get down to the end zone. So you got to pass the ball. You got to hurry up. You tell me on your coaching worksheets, and then I work with you accordingly. So there is no pressure. There's no deadline other than the one that you give yourself. Registration to the course is $45 per month. And that essentially allows me to give you a seat in the class. Obviously, this is an online tool. We use a learning management system that most corporations use that allows me to upload courses, upload videos, upload lectures, and I can put things in there that is specific only for you, or I can put things in there for everybody. Every time I read a book, I'll be giving you an excerpt of the book that tells me something I need you to know. I'll be reading some books for you and just giving you the highlights. And if you want to go read the book, you can. If you're a reader. You know, I used to not be a big reader, so my mother would read for me and just tell me the highlights. But, and so Eric, I hope I answered your question about how much time does it take? Because like I just told you, it takes as much time as you need it to take. So hopefully that answered that question. Again, I think too that the opportunity to bring other people into the organization affords those who cannot pay the $45 or they just aren't in a position right now. I'll tell you this, if you set yourself up as a business, you can automatically pay the $45 because you'll make that much money just by setting yourself up as a business. Just quickly so you understand that. Once you have a business, then you have the ability to write off certain things that you can't write off as an individual. So there are people who start businesses, and then as a result of starting the business, they are now writing their cell phone bill off because now their cell phone is being used to talk to me every Friday, or not Friday, or they're definitely using their $45 a month. So you right away have what they call a Schedule C on your taxes now. And if you don't have anything else, what's going to happen is in tax time, you're going to have zero revenue and you're going to have expenses of $45 a month. And then if you work for somebody, that gets taken off of your tax obligation on your job. So entrepreneurship and owning a business automatically will allow you to pay your registration. But I need you to do it because I need you to invest in the coaching. Because when you invest in the coaching, I can do more. I can really get going. I mean, obviously, my goal is to coach 100 of you, and that's what we'll be doing this year. But I also want to coach as many of the peers that you bring on board so that we can increase and have critical mass. The more of you who are involved in this, the more we can do with each other. Because some of you will tell me about a business idea, and all of a sudden, I'll connect you with somebody else that can make that happen. And that's what's exciting for me. NYAP has got a powerful group of alumni, but also those of you who we've invited in, like Monica and William, you also have something I know you're about to bring to this table that we did not have. So I'm excited for all of you. I'm glad you took the time this Saturday. You're going to get an email from me to give you the way to go ahead and register. If you can't register this week, register next week. Just register. And I want you to have a good Saturday. And if you don't have any questions, which I assume you don't, then we're done. No questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you again, Ms. Harms.
Thank you all. I appreciate you because without you, I have nothing to coach and I have nobody to do this with. I've done what I'm going to do and I got my plan. So I'm really excited to see yours. Talk later. Bye-bye.